Good morning. Today, my partner and I will be sorting these 8 wonderful Republican presidential candidates by their poll rating from lowest to highest.
So the first thing we do is we look at our array here and we divide it into two subarrays of equal length, so these four and these four. Then we look at this subarray and we again divide it into two subarrays of equal length, so these two and these two. Then we look at this subarray and again divide it into two subarrays of equal length, so this one and this one.
We look at now these two subarrays are both just subarrays of 1, so we don't need to sort them. But what we do need to do is combine them. So we look at Kasich versus Trump. We see that Kasich's 3.3 is less than Trump's 23.7, so we put Kasich in a different subarray, and then we put Trump in that subarray. So now these two are sorted.
Next we look at Cruz and Carson. We have to divide them into individual subarrays. Then we have to put them in a different subarray. So we look, Cruz is less than Carson, so we put him in the new subarray first, and then after him we put Carson.
Now we have to combine these two subarrays of 2. So what we do is we look at the very first one for each of them. So that's K6 3.3 and Cruz's 6.7.
So we look and we find that 3.3 is less than 6.7, so we put Kasich in our new subarray first. Then we compare Cruz and Trump. We find that 6.7 is less than 23.7, so we put Cruz in our new subarray. And then we look at Carson and Trump, and we know that 18.4 is less than 23.7, so we put 18.4 in our new subarray. And then lastly, we put Trump in our new subarray.
So we've sorted these 4. Now we need to sort our next 4. So we split that into 2 subarrays. And we look at our first subarray and we split that into 2 subarrays as well. So that's just subarrays of 1, Bush with 7.1 and Fiorina with 8.9.
So we know that they're sorted, and we look at 7.1 and 8.9. We know that 7.1 is less, so we put Bush in our new subarray first, and then later we put Fiorina after him. Then we look here. We divide these into two individual subarrays, and then we look and we know that Paul with 2.6 is less than Rubio with 9.9, so we put Paul in our new subarray first, and after him we put Rubio.
Now we have to combine these two subarrays of 2. So first we compare Bush versus Paul, and we see that Paul is less, so we put him in the subarray first. Now we compare Bush with Rubio, and we see Bush is less, so we put Bush in next. Finally, we have to compare Fiorina and Rubio. Fiorina is less, which with 8.9, so we put her in. And finally, we can just add in Rubio.
Now we have to compare these two subarrays. We look at Paul and Kasich. We know that Paul with 2.6 is less than Kasich with 3.3, so we put him in our new subarray first. Then we compare Kasich and Bush, and we find that 3.3 is less than 7.1, so we put him in our new subarray first. Then we compare Cruz and Bush, and we know that 6.7 is less than 7.1, so we put him in our new subarray first.
Now we look at Bush's 7.1 versus Carson's 18.4. We see that Bush is less, so we put him. Then we do Fiorina's 8.9, and that's also still less than Carson's 18.4, so we put her in next. Now we look at Rubio's 9.9 versus Carson's 18.4. Rubio is still less, so we put in Rubio. And finally, since our second subarray is exhausted, we can just put in Carson and Trump. There's not a whole lot of room here. But we have our final sorted array. Paul, Kasich, Cruz, Bush, Fiorina, Rubio, Carson, and our good friend Trump. So this algorithm will run in at most n log n time.